We know in celebrity culture what happens to kid stars who are exposed to fandom at a young age, usually controlled by their parents to make as much money as possible to the detriment of the child. Jennifer McCurdy comes to mind. But what if I told you there was a whole new industry reminiscent to the actor child stars, but in the influencer online world? Millions of views, sponsorship deals, fame before puberty, but behind the camera, anxiety, burnout, and identity loss. In today's video, we're diving into the world of kid influencers growing up in front of millions, often without protection or their own voice, and not having any idea of the world they're being forced to take part in and the effect it could have on them for the rest of their lives. A kidfluencer is a child, usually under the age of 16, often as young as toddlers, who gains popularity on platforms like YouTube or TikTok, often with the help from their parents. The content they create can vary from things like toy reviews, vlogs, to fashion modeling and getting sponsored brand promotions. It's a fast-growing, controversial space that becomes a family entrepreneurship with the kid and their parents that some would argue can easily become exploitive. From toddlerhood, some kids are pushed to perform daily on command. One of the key reasons parents may feel the urge to push their kids to become influencers is the potential money that can be earned from it. Money can be made from the big platforms like YouTube, but kids earn less because of the COPPA restrictions. The real money is made in sponsorships. Kids are incredibly engaging to both young audiences and parents, and brands love that authenticity. It's also a great way for brands to influence the younger market easily in an attempt to have lifelong consumers of their products. Companies sponsor videos or send free products, and some kidfluencers launch their own branded merchandise, which can be huge in terms of monetization. These kids can make thousands to hundreds of thousands per post, which creates a huge incentive for their parents. When kids become ultra famous, families tend to reach out to agencies like Pocket.watch, The Network Effect, and The Underscore Talent, who specialize in managing kid influencers. Some families build full production teams with editors, PR reps, and managers. Families can effectively earn a life-changing income, sometimes setting up savings or trusts, but it also gives a family a financial freedom that they never experienced before. The kidfluencer gets all this external praise and love, and on the surface may seem great, as well as the family that gets a huge amount of money, but there are many issues that come at a severe cost to the child. Parents become their managers, controlling filming schedules, finances, and branding. The lines between parent and manager can become very blurred, which is reminiscent of the child actors from the 90s and early 2000s. The child becomes the star of the family that can leave other siblings feeling neglected by their parents. Parents can also, in an attempt to gain more views, share personally private moments with their kid online, such as potty training or emotional breakdowns, which many dub as sharenting. Kids simply do not understand the long-term impact of their digital footprint that could come back to haunt them when they are adults, especially when being forced to share very personal moments in their life with the world. It sets up a very weird dynamic where kids become the breadwinners of the household, but at a cost to their own personal freedoms, as parents can become obsessive to the point they will do anything to keep their kid relevant so they can continue to create more engagement and more monetization. It also mirrors the parents who bring their kids to beauty pageants, where parents project their own failures on their kids and live through their kids' successes. But that's a whole other video. The biggest issue that arises from this exploitive emotional manipulation is the detrimental effects on their mental health. Kid influencers feel the pressure to stay relevant as their whole identity is wrapped around their online persona. Kids are forced to give up their childhoods in exchange for content creation, where every aspect of their life can be scrutinized, creating an environment where approval was conditional on performance of videos. Their value as a child to their parents is solely based on the engagement of their videos and income earned. Kids are obviously easier to control and exploit, making them prime targets for content creation. Many kidfluencers tie their self-worth to numbers, likes, views, and subscriber counts. A drop in attention or criticism from followers can lead to low self-esteem, anxiety, or even depression. Children raised as influencers often develop a persona that pleases audiences but may not reflect who they really are. Kids can also fear being replaced as they grow older and become less marketable. They also can develop body issues from the constant visibility, which could create eating disorders or become obsessive over their appearance. The online world can be a cruel and unforgiving place. Instagram comments alone can make you question your own self-worth, but the digital influencers are most certainly going to develop long-term and mental health issues much worse in the future, as they learn how they were exploited by the very people who are supposed to love them. Kids that are too young to fully understand the public life they're being forced into, constantly being gaslit by their greedy parents. Parents also get addicted to the fame too, and can be easily influenced to push their kids to do things they really shouldn't. Public content featuring children also can attract online predators, and some Kidfluencer channels have had comment sections turned off by YouTube due to such predatory behaviour. They become conditioned to believe that their whole identity and value as a person comes from the shallow external praise rather than finding their true self-worth from within themselves. All this leads to burnout that is detrimental to the child and could affect them for the rest of their lives. Imagine for a second your whole childhood is watched by millions and your whole identity is online. Nearly every experience you have ever had is shared with the world. How well would you be after all that? One famous one is Piper Rockell, made famous through YouTube videos managed by her mother, Tiffany Smith. Piper belongs to a group known as The Squad, who in 2022 filed a lawsuit against Tiffany Smith alleging emotional, physical and sexual abuse, which led to a $1.85 million settlement in 2024. Piper and her squad were forced to work demanding work conditions while producing numerous videos featuring pranks, challenges and personal moments, often under strict schedules. Squad members report being told who they could date, be friends with or appear in videos with, all for content optimization. Kids were allegedly pushed to create content constantly, often 7 days a week, with little regard for the rest of their schooling or personal life. When kids raised concerns or wanted to quit, they were allegedly gaslit that they were ungrateful or that their success would vanish without Tiffany's help. Now, this is a clear example of how kids can be exploited and controlled to make parents as much money as possible. Now, Tiffany, of course, denies these allegations, but if true, which I would argue it probably is, it's truly disgusting behaviour and she should be ashamed of herself. It highlights a growing problem, though, in the influencer world. The legal landscape around Kidfluencers is murky and lagging behind the explosive growth of child-led content creation. Child labour laws don't apply to influencers generally because they work for their parents, there's no contract and they make most of their videos at home. So by that logic, parents can effectively make their kids work crazy hours with no breaks or oversight. And in America, parents own 100% of their child's money. Many child influencers may never even see the money they earned, unless new laws are passed or enforced. The other issue, of course, as well, is that kids cannot meaningfully consent to being filmed, monetized and exposed online, especially in the ages of 2 to 12. In 2023, an Illinois law was passed that requires parents to set a portion of earnings for kids featured in monetized content. It also gives kids the right to request content takedowns later in life. I also can imagine that there will be a lot of class action lawsuits from children who were exploited by their parents in the future. Now, overall, it's clear that the world of Kidfluencers is a dark one. Some children may gain fame and fortune, but many pay a hidden price: their privacy, autonomy and mental health. Until stronger protections are in place, the world of kidfluencing remains a powerful and deeply risky spotlight for the youngest generation. Any parent that puts their child through all of this purely for money and clout should never be allowed to have kids in the first place. I personally believe that it's a form of child abuse, and if you truly love your kids, you will never use them as a source of income or a source of engagement, likes, views online, because it's quite simply wrong. But that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe as always if you enjoyed the video, and let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you believe that these kids are being exploited by their parents? Is there any justification for using your kids for clout online? For teaching your kids that external gratitude, likes, shares, comments are what really matters in life? Or do you think, like I do, that it's completely exploitive and, you know, it's destroying these kids mentally, and it's also destroying families, where these kids will grow up to resent their parents. They will sue their parents. They will see content from when they were kids that they had no way to in any way consent to, that could potentially haunt them for the rest of their lives. It's nearly impossible to delete anything off the internet. Once it's on the internet, it's there forever. And I think it's quite selfish that parents are willing to do anything they can to embarrass, to share personal things just for money, just for views. Because in reality, what they are doing is projecting their own failures. They're living through their own kids because they didn't have the same successes that their kids are having. But that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace out.